Welcome to The Backstory. I'm Robert, and today I'm joined by Matt Brown of Think Eternity. You are an author, a social media guru, I'm going to call you, and then also a father. Welcome to The Backstory.
Thank you so much, yeah.
Let's start off with the father thing. You recently had a third child. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we just had our third baby a month and a half ago. We have two boys, and we just had a baby girl. So
that's going to change things, huh?
Yeah, we're loving it, and I'm thrilled. I mean, to think of two older brothers to take care of her along with the rest of us.
How has that changed your life a little bit?
Well, it's changed our life. It's three, and people told us beforehand, having two kids and then you have a third kid, it's like you're treading water and someone throws you a baby. But so far, it's actually been better than that. It's been good. I'm glad people prepared us for the worst because it's been actually just so good. We're so thankful, and healthy kids, and family's the best part of life. So we're enjoying it. I'm getting a lot of snuggles right now at home.
I'm sure.
And not a ton of sleep, but both things are good.
Snuggles at all times of the hour, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Think Eternity has been ridiculously successful. Talk about how that started and then just what it means to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So when I was 17, I sensed a call to ministry since an early age, but when I was 17, I was at a youth event, and God really directly spoke to my heart just to do evangelistic ministry, to reach people outside the church that need Christ. And so, started doing that in Bible college, started traveling and preaching wherever people would have me, churches of different denominations and different outreach events. And then now 18 years later, we've been just kind of continuing down that path to just look for ways to proclaim the gospel, to share the gospel. One of those ways has been through social media. And we also do live outreach events, and then we've done a lot of next generation leadership mentoring. So we've mentored a lot of other young leaders who God has just given enormous influence, just to encourage them to really grow and dig their roots down deep into discipleship and following Christ, so that they can just keep strong, in the limelight that they're in. And so we just kind of have these simple areas, and got a team of friends, and we've just been doing this ministry. It's been wonderful, and our heart is just to preach the gospel, to share gospel content. And so
you've been building on this, and one of the things I've noticed with social media is it's always changing.
Yeah, it is.
So where do you see this going, or where do you feel God's pulling you?
Yeah, well, I had the most crazy opportunity a few weeks. It was late January, so it was a month and a half ago or so, and a couple months ago now.
Okay.
I have
kids.
The
baby thing.
I have a new baby. That's just the answer. But it was late January that I actually had the opportunity for the second time to go to Facebook headquarters.
Cool.
And Facebook owns Instagram, and there's a new faith director there who's working with churches, which is that's not something that normally happens in the Silicon Valley social media world. And we actually had the opportunity, me and some other pastors, to spend time with Sheryl Sandberg, who's like the lady running Facebook for Mark Zuckerberg. It was crazy. And we actually offered to pray for her during our time with her, and she was blown away. Actually, she almost started crying as we prayed for her, and was just so extremely grateful. It was like crazy. She has a Jewish background, and she actually told us, no one's ever offered to pray for me before. And so I just believe, one of the things I've been shocked by as I've been around the social media world a little bit is that there's actually like tons of Christians at some of those social media networks, even though it's probably more of a secular environment over there. And we Christians, we wonder about this stuff sometimes, like the censorship and the things we're seeing. But I also know there's a lot of strong Christian influence, and God knows how to strategically place people in the right places at the right times. And so, it's just been really interesting. I'm just so thankful. This is the first generation now where we can, we have social media, and we're learning how to use it.
And it's the norm. Yeah. So you're also doing some crusades. Talk about those and what's going on with that, and how did it come to be? Yeah.
So that's the call that I felt the call to ministry and evangelism before social media. So
this is
so God didn't say like, I'm going to create a platform and you're going to be able to preach to people online. What's online, Lord? I didn't quite have all of that yet. But so it was before social media that I had a call to ministry, but I just felt called to these live outreach events. And so we have one coming up called Ignite in Northwest Arkansas, and we're so excited about that. And it's just a free event for believers to bring their friends who need to hear about Christ. And so we already have thousands of people that have RSVP'd to join us for that. And got some great, Jeremy Camp's going to be with us, Meredith Andrews, Lee Strobel, who wrote The Case for Christ, and Dr. Ronnie Floyd, who just became the president of the executive committee of the Southern Baptist Convention, who's a good friend of ours. And so we're just going to share testimonies and share the gospel, and we're inviting churches of all denominations to come together. So that's our heart, as well as online and other areas of ministry is to really just to preach the gospel to people live.
So how often do you do these crusades?
So lately it's just been about once a year or so. It's cool. Kind of the capacity that we can handle. And so we'd love to do more, but we'll get there. So yeah.
Totally. You've got a few things going on.
Yeah.
So I think so often in the world, social media is viewed through that negative lens. And you talk about this a little bit in your book.
Yeah.
And if you could give people kind of one tip for how to use it for good.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
I would love to hear what that is.
Well, social media is actually amazing because we're more connected than we've ever been. But we also know that there's a lot of challenges. Like Generation Z, there was just a study that they're like the loneliest generation. And so, we need real connection. We need deep connection and not just like light social connection.
Yep.
And we know that social, people have fear of missing out. People have comparison. And it's a challenge for all of us on a regular basis that we look at somebody else's highlights and our days aren't always highlights. So there's negatives, but the benefits that I would say is, and really I shared again about this in my book, like you mentioned, is just to think about when you post online, how am I contributing kind of in a positive way, a way that represents Christ well? And so I just really give people the filter of the fruit of the Spirit. Like, is this loving? Is it joyful? Is it, am I being a peacemaker? Am I bringing kindness and gentleness? And honestly, that's countercultural right now. Like, we're the first generation that has 24-hour news media. We're the first generation, which is a lot of times divisive, keeps the ratings up. We're the first generation with the internet where we hear about every tragedy that goes on in the world in seconds.
Almost before it happens, yeah.
And we're the first generation with social media where we can say how we feel about it all. And without thinking, we're constantly telling hundreds or thousands of our friends, people that we knew back in middle school, for people, you and I, that's funny. People we knew way back in the day, we're not even that close with, but we just constantly tell them what we think about everything. And we need to take a step back and say, as a generation of people, but also as Christians, how do we use this in a way that represents Christ well? Because when you become a Christian, you're suddenly a representative of Jesus Christ. D.L. Moody once said that out of 100 people, one person outside the church, one person might pick up a Bible and read it, but 99 people read the Christian. So people are looking at us to see who God is, see who Jesus is. And so we need to walk in his character, which is the fruit of the Spirit. It's love, it's joy, and we need to grow. We need to dive in and grow in those areas. And as we do that and kind of give that kind of heart, that genuine heart online, it's going to be powerful for the sake of Christ.
And people are going to love it.
Yes,
so the last question I have for you, and the backstory, this is always the hardest one. You travel a bit.
Yeah. As
you're traveling, what has been your favorite food?
Oh, man.
That you've would just go back for just for the food?
Oh man, well, you're making me think. I mean, there's a lot of great restaurants, a lot of great places.
I'm not saying any of the other
and
ones
I haven't.
bad.
You didn't give me this question beforehand, so
no.
So just without thinking, there is a great place in Texas called Babe's Chicken Dinner House.
Nice.
In Dallas, and that's amazing. That's one. There's probably a dozen more that I'll think of after this.
Nice.
So.
Hey, you know what? So, only need one.
Yeah.
Well, check out Matt's book, Truth Plus Love. You can go to truthpluslovebook.com to order your own copy, and also check out Matt's interview with Bobby Schuller on Hour of Power. Thank you for visiting us, Matt.
Oh yeah, it's a thrill. Thank you.